He showed up to Christmas with gifts. They called him a loser and shut him out. Turns out, his brother had been stealing from him for years. When the truth exploded, a family fell apart, and he walked away free. I had been genuinely looking forward to Christmas this year. For the first time in ages, I wasn't scrambling to buy gifts at the last moment. By early December, I had already purchased thoughtful presents for my parents, my brother Jacob, his wife Kelly, and their children. I even bought a few extra gifts just in case any unexpected guests arrived. Something inside me felt hopeful this year would finally be a peaceful, joyful holiday. That's why I was blindsided when my mother opened the front door and said, "We don't want you here this year." There I stood on the porch, holding bags full of carefully wrapped presents. I thought it had to be some kind of awkward family joke. I let out a nervous laugh, but then Jacob's voice came from behind her. "This is no place for losers. You're wearing on all of us." I froze. My dad lingered in the background, avoiding my eyes. My mom, despite her nervous expression, didn't back down. Jacob looked smug. A whirlwind of emotions surged through me: confusion, humiliation, anger. But somehow, I stayed composed. "Fine, if that's how you feel," I said quietly. I turned, walked back to my car, and sat there, staring at the bags of gifts beside me. No place for losers, tired of me. Where had this come from? Jacob had to be behind it, but I couldn't understand why. Over the years, I had given so much to him and his family. I paid for his kids' summer camps, bought their school supplies, and even helped cover his mortgage when he was struggling. And now, they were cutting me off. But instead of driving away, something inside me told me not to leave yet. I needed answers. I left the gifts in the car and returned to the house. My parents were still standing near the door, whispering to each other. Jacob was lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. "What's going on?" I asked. "Why am I not welcome? What did I do?" Jacob didn't even look up. "You really don't get it, do you? You've been slacking off. The kids barely got anything from you this year." I stared at him, shocked. "What are you talking about? I spent hundreds on gifts for your kids. There are more presents in my car than anyone else is getting." "Last year you did more," Jacob replied. "This year, it's like you don't care." "It's embarrassing." I turned to my parents, expecting them to step in. My mom smiled awkwardly. "But you just bought a new car," she said. "You found money for that. The car is on credit," I replied calmly. "And even if it weren't, how does buying a car make me responsible for Jacob's kids?" "They're not my responsibility." Jacob leaned back and folded his arms. "You make the most money. Families help each other." "You always have." Kelly sat silently in the corner, her face flushed. She avoided my eyes and looked down at her hands. She seemed embarrassed. "So because I've been generous before, I'm obligated to keep paying forever?" I asked. "And if I stop, I'm a loser?" Jacob shrugged. "If the shoe fits, that was it." I shook my head. "You know what? You're right. I don't belong here." I turned to Jacob. "Enjoy Christmas. Good luck with the presents." Because this loser is done financing your life, without waiting for a response, I walked out. I drove home in silence, my hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. Was I the villain? For years, I had done everything I could for my family. I helped Jacob whenever he asked. I made sure his children never went without. And now, because I hadn't done enough, I wasn't welcome. I sat in my driveway staring at the bags of gifts. I had spent weeks selecting perfect presents, considering what each person would enjoy, and now none of it mattered. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became. This wasn't about Christmas. It had been brewing for years. Jacob had always relied on me. At first, it was small things: help with rent, childcare, emergencies. What began as temporary support had become a permanent expectation. Every time Jacob hit a rough patch, he called me. And I always said yes, not because I had to, because I cared. But over time, his gratitude had turned into entitlement. And excluding me from Christmas because I hadn't done enough. That was the final straw. That night, I made my decision. I wouldn't support Jacob financially anymore. No more stepping in when he failed to provide. His children's well-being wasn't my responsibility. The choice was painful. Cutting him off risked damaging my relationship not just with him, but with his kids and my parents. But I couldn't keep being treated like an ATM. None of them called me. I didn't call them. Maybe they understood. But deep down, I knew Jacob wouldn't let things go that easily. New Year's Eve came and went without a single text or call from anyone in my family. My parents, Jacob, even Kelly, nothing. For the first time in years, I spent the holidays completely alone. It felt strange not to hear from anyone, but after what had happened, I wasn't surprised. Still, as midnight passed and my phone remained silent, I felt a sharp sting. Part of me wanted to reach out. But every time the urge rose, I remembered Jacob's cruel words, "No place for losers." I'd held everything together for so long, helping them, supporting them, and now they treated me like I was disposable. So, I gave them the distance they clearly wanted, but by mid-January, something changed. One evening, Kelly sent me a text. It was brief and to the point. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I don't agree with what happened. Jacob won't listen to me, but I thought you should know." I stared at the message, unsure how to respond. A part of me felt relieved that someone finally acknowledged the unfairness of it all. But another part of me felt it was too little, too late. She had stayed silent that night when it mattered most. Finally, I replied, "I appreciate it, Kelly, but this isn't something I can just move past." She didn't push the conversation any further. Then, in early February, Jacob showed up at my house. I was in the middle of a work meeting when I heard the knocking. At first, I ignored it. I wasn't expecting anyone. But the knocking continued. When I finally opened the door, Jacob stood there, looking more desperate than I'd ever seen him. Before I could say anything, he pushed past me into the house. "We need to talk," he said sharply. "You need to stop this and start helping again." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I couldn't believe he had the audacity. "Helping? You mean paying for your life?" "I told you I'm done." He scowled. "You're the one with the money. Do you have any idea how hard things have been since you cut us off? The kids barely have what they need. Kelly's struggling to keep everything together. We can't do this without you." Shook my head. "Then maybe it's time for you to step up. You're a grown man, Jacob. You have a wife and kids. Go out and earn what you need. It's not my job to fix your problems." His face darkened. "You always helped before. Why are you being so selfish now?" "Selfish?" I repeated, stunned. "Let's talk about selfish. You lied to our parents about me, turned them against me, banned me from Christmas because I didn't buy enough for your kids. And now you're demanding more." Before he could reply, I raised a hand. "We're done. I'm not giving you another dime. Don't contact me again until you've figured out how to act like an adult." Jacob stood there for a long moment, glaring. Then he stormed out. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. 2 days later, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. Normally, I wouldn't have answered. But something told me to pick up. "Hello," a man's voice. "Is this Michael?" "Yeah." "Who's this?" "This is Mark Dawson. I'm an attorney. I represent a client who has raised concerns regarding financial matters involving your family. Do you have a moment to discuss?" An attorney, my stomach sank. What financial matters? "I can't discuss details over the phone," he said politely. "But it concerns financial contributions you've made to your brother Jacob and his family, specifically how those contributions have been used. Would you be willing to meet at my office?" A million thoughts raced through my mind and none of them were good. Had Jacob borrowed money in my name? Was he involved in fraud? Or was this some ridiculous ploy to scare me into giving him more money? "Who's your client?" I asked. There was a pause. "I'm afraid I can't disclose that right now. But I assure you, this isn't a lawsuit against you. It's more of an investigation. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet. Curiosity and a sinking feeling overcame me. The next day, I walked into Mark Dawson's office, not sure what to expect. As soon as I sat down, he slid a folder across the desk. "Kelly is the client I'm representing." I blinked in shock. "Kelly? Why would she need an attorney?" Mark folded his hands. "She believes Jacob has been misusing the money you've given him over the years. She has reason to suspect he's hidden funds both from you and from her." My stomach turned. "Hidden funds? What do you mean?" Mark opened the folder, revealing copies of bank statements, receipts, and screenshots of text messages. "She suspects Jacob funneled your financial contributions into a separate account. She believes he's been using the money for gambling and personal expenses, not supporting the family." I stared at the documents, stunned. "All those times I helped him with bills, with his kids' school stuff, that money never went to them." Mark nodded gravely. "It appears so. Kelly only recently discovered the second account. She found bank statements Jacob had left out and contacted me. I scanned the paperwork. Large withdrawals from Jacob's account were transferred to another account solely in his name. The dates matched the times I had given him money for emergencies. From that second account, there were transactions at expensive restaurants, online gambling sites, and even hotels." I shook my head. "Unbelievable. She didn't want to involve you at first," Mark said. "But once she realized the extent of it, she felt you deserved to know." I leaned back, trying to process everything. "Does Kelly want me to take action?" "Not at this time. She's focused on protecting herself and the kids. But she thought you should be aware in case Jacob tries to manipulate you further." I sighed heavily. "He already did. He showed up at my house demanding money." Mark frowned. "That fits what Kelly told me. Jacob is feeling desperate now that your financial support has stopped." Looking at the folder, anger burned inside me. A part of me wanted to confront Jacob immediately, but deep down, I knew that would only give him more power. Instead, I asked, "What is Kelly planning to do?" Mark hesitated. "She's considering her options. If Jacob's behavior escalates, she may file for separation or take other legal steps." Hearing that hit me harder than I expected. Kelly had always seemed like the quiet, loyal type. For her to consider leaving meant things were worse than I'd imagined. "I appreciate you telling me," I said. "Whatever Kelly decides, she has my support." Mark nodded. "She'd be relieved to hear that." As I left the office, a strange sense of peace washed over me. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying Jacob's burdens. And now that I knew the truth, I never would again. The days passed quietly. I didn't call Jacob. He didn't call me, but I knew he wouldn't stay silent for long. One evening, as I was preparing dinner, my phone rang. Jacob's name appeared on the screen. I considered letting it go to voicemail. But something told me to answer. "What do you want, Jacob?" His voice was strained, almost desperate. "We need to talk. You've been talking to Kelly, haven't you?" I frowned. "What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb," he snapped. "She's been acting strange since Christmas. Now she's bringing up lawyers and separation. I know you've been putting ideas in her head." I couldn't help but laugh. "You think I'm the problem. You're the one who lied to her, hid money, and gambled it away. If she's tired of your lies, that's on you, not me." There was a pause. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I think I do," I replied. "Kelly told me everything, the secret account, the gambling, the money you wasted while I broke my back trying to help you." "You're a joke, Jacob." He started to protest, but I cut him off. "You've used me for the last time. I'm done covering for you. If Kelly leaves you, that's your fault. And if you drag me into this mess again, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what you've been doing." I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, but it felt good to finally say what I'd been holding in for years. The backlash was swift. The next day, Kelly called. "Has Jacob called you?" she asked, her voice cautious. "Yes," I said. "He wasn't happy." "Everything okay?" She hesitated. I confronted him about the gambling and the secret account. He admitted some of it but tried to downplay everything. "Are you all right?" I asked. I'm fine, she said, though she sounded weary. But I can't keep defending him. The kids deserve better. Hearing her say it felt like the beginning of the end. I knew things were bad, but this confirmed it. Whatever you decide to do, you have my full support, I told her. Thank you. And I'm sorry. The way we treated you at Christmas was wrong. I should have spoken up. We talked for a while. When we hung up, I felt a strange sense of closure. Jacob had ruined my relationship with him. But Kelly and the kids weren't my enemies. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that Jacob wasn't done causing trouble. A few weeks later, Kelly sent me a brief message. We're leaving today. She explained that she was moving to another state with the kids while Jacob was out of town on a so-called business trip, probably just another excuse for gambling. She'd packed their belongings and rented a moving van without telling him. I called her immediately. I can't stay any longer, she said softly. I can't keep pretending this is normal. What about everything, rent, expenses? I asked. I was hoping ... Maybe you could help. Just until I get settled. I hate to ask. Say no more, I replied. I'll help. This time, helping felt right, not like I was being used. When Jacob returned home and found the house empty, he went ballistic. He called me, ranting about how I had ruined his life and turned Kelly against him. I let him vent. Then I said, maybe this wouldn't have happened if you'd spent more time being a husband and father instead of gambling. Before he could respond, I added, good luck with that, and hung up. Kelly and the kids adjusted quickly to their new home. She found a steady job and finally felt in control of her life. Jacob, I heard, continued blaming everyone but himself. But honestly, that was no longer my problem. For the first time in years, I felt free, and I promised myself I would never again let anyone treat me like an ATM or a scapegoat. My silence wasn't weakness. It was a boundary. And now, I was finally living for myself.